Hello, dear students. This is our first video for grade 8 O level. The Reader. The Red-Headed League, Chapter 2. Objectives: new vocabulary, reading the story, questions and answers, critical thinking, and summary. Let's start with the new vocabulary. Foolish, not a good idea. Content, happy. Lock, to close a door or window so that people cannot open it. Hit, to bring your hand or an object onto something quickly and hard. A tennis racket on a ball. Concert, when people play music and sing. Landlord, a man who has a house or office where people live or work. Knock, to make a sound when you bring your hand onto something hard. Walking stick, something people use to help them walk. Let's read the story. I'll read with you the first paragraph and you will continue reading. The next day, Mr. Wilson bought a pen, some ink, and some paper and went to the Red-Headed League. He thought about the job. Could it be real? It seemed foolish to copy an encyclopedia. But to his surprise, when he arrived at the office, Mr. Ross was waiting for him. So, Mr. Wilson sat at the table and started work. He copied information from the encyclopedia into a book until 2 o'clock. Then he went home. Now you can continue reading. Let's answer some questions. Pay attention. You have 5 seconds to answer. If you need more time, you can pause the video, then play it again. The first question: how long did Mr. Wilson work at the Red-Headed League? Are you ready? That's right, for 8 weeks. What was Sherlock Holmes looking at when he spoke to the man in Mr. Wilson's shop? Take your time. Very good, the knees of his trousers. The last question: what shops were behind Mr. Wilson's shop? Counting down. Awesome, a newspaper shop, a bank, and a restaurant. Now let's move to the critical thinking. Why do you think Sherlock Holmes asked Mr. Wilson about Mr. Spaulding? Because he doubted him. Why do you think Sherlock Holmes hit the ground with his walking stick? I think because he doubted that someone was digging. Why do you think Sherlock Holmes wanted to see Mr. Spaulding and the shops behind where he worked? To deduce the relationship between them that may solve the mystery. This is a summary for Chapter 2. Mr. Wilson bought a pen, some ink, and some paper and went to the Red-Headed League. Mr. Ross was working for Mr. Wilson at the Red-Headed League. Mr. Wilson received his pay of 4 sterling at the end of the week. Mr. Wilson was content to do that job. After 8 weeks, the office of the Red-Headed League was locked. The landlord told Mr. Wilson that he didn't know Mr. Ross or the Red-Headed League. Holmes asked Mr. Wilson some questions about his assistant, Mr. Spaulding. Holmes and Dr. Watson went past Mr. Wilson's shop on the way to the concert. Holmes walked up to Mr. Wilson's shop and hit the ground with his walking stick. A young man answered Holmes after knocking on the door. Holmes asked the young man that opened the door how to get to the concert. Holmes told Dr. Watson that he wanted to see the knees of the young man's trousers. Holmes was looking carefully at the houses and shops behind Mr. Wilson's shop. Holmes and Dr. Watson left the place and went to the concert. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.